everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talking About. This month we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence and Gen AI. I know what you're thinking, who is the guest that's with you today, Nicole? There is only one person that's right to be on the podcast, and it is Mr. Data, Mr. Gen AI himself, Marc Welsh. Welcome to the studio.
Odd name to give someone.
Well, I don't know
but
if
thank
you know.
It's an awesome name.
It is your new title. So you were
Good.
Mr. Data.
Yeah.
You're now Mr. AI.
And Data.
And Data.
Yeah.
But Mr. AI. So welcome to the studio. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Busy, but aye, the usual. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. You know, not
Good.
many guests
No one asks you, right?
No. Points all round. Thank you so much. No, I'm good. I'm excited. First time hosting solo since back in the days of being in my spare bedroom, which obviously this is an upgrade. But yeah, first time hosting solo. So I just said all your titles there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about being branded Mr. AI?
So I didn't know, but I don't necessarily know that I am or was branded that. But if I am, I'd be fine with that, right? Because, like, for me, the whole AI thing's just, it really is not what AI does instead of you. It's just this, like, I do like data, I like logic, I like solutions rather than problems, but I like to know there's an order to things. And I think that for me then it probably works really well with my kind of mentality. And we've done 16 personalities. I'm a logician, not magician.
What would you prefer to be though, logician or magician?
A magician. But a logician, and I think it's like there is a natural part in all of us where you sometimes have to find what works for you, but AI for me just kind of works. It's like I understand its importance, but also it's just intriguing. It's just like I find it fascinating to be able to interact with things so quickly and in a way that, yeah, it just makes sense to me, I guess.
It was very logical for you.
Very logical.
I was going to say can't even say it. Logician, that's it. I was going to ask if you'd share a little bit about yourself, but I think you told us a little bit about your personality there. But for anybody that's watching or listening who maybe hasn't had the pleasure of spending any time with you, who are you? What do you do? A little bit of a intro.
Well, it's absolutely not a pleasure for some people, I'm sure. But who am I? I am Marc Welsh, been at Sky for 23, I want to say 24. It could be somewhere around that, right? 23 or 24 years. And I've done so I started as an agent, in fact, and all those years ago. Before that, I had nothing to do with any kind of office structure. It's like I did manual jobs, mechanic, worked in warehouses, stuff like that. But through the years in Sky, I've just kind of like found that there's things that I guess the way even as I talk to you, right, I tend to look about when I'm talking, and it's imagining the past and all the paths you could have taken. But I've been here that long, done so many jobs, so many different things, been in sales started in sales now, and I think it's like where I've always felt most at home because it moves so quickly, and there's such a sort of focus on getting things done, so no matter what comes up, it's just that, but we can do it, right? And there's that, and I feel that in the team we're in now. I feel that in sales generally, there's always this, no matter what's against you, you'll find a way to do something, you'll get something done. So that works well for my kind of mentality. I met my wife at Sky.
Did you?
Met my wife at Sky.
That.
Yeah. So
is she still at Sky? No.
She left Sky years ago. She's I'm not sure what I'm meant to call it these days, a beautician, but it's not a beautician. She doesn't like calling that. Beauty therapist.
Beauty therapist.
One of those names that I definitely know. And I have not forgotten at all.
And this is not recorded
and
won't
and
be
it's not
shared
recorded.
with
It's not like anyone's going to hear it, right? So, we met, and 2 kids, 21-year-old, 16-year-old, years of being married at this point. So it's just so my whole life's revolved around. I mean, most of my adult life is revolved around being at Sky, and everything, like literally family work. Have worked here, still work here, and just know so many people, so it feels like home.
A part of your actual life and
absolutely.
Family born out of being employed here at Sky and had that full career, and you went sales to service, back to sales. Like I said, Mr. AI now quite a evolution, if you will. Now, before we start talking about data and your favourite stuff, artificial intelligence, we have a little bit of a game to play, which you'll see there's no laptop, so you can't be Googling, you can't be searching for any answers. It's all about old-fashioned brain power. So are you up for a bit of a challenge?
Yes.
Yes. So I have 3 pictures here, which I'll pass over to you for you to figure out what the puzzle is. So it's a classic Say What You See.
Right.
There is a twist.
Okay.
You need to figure out what links the 3 pictures.
The answer is Tom Cruise. It's always Tom Cruise. Continue.
Spoiler.
But maybe it's not.
It might not
maybe
be.
It's not. Imagine it was.
Well,
You'd be like,
here's the
my
thing.
God.
Before I get into it, Tom Cruise, would you say he's an idol?
Of mine?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about Keanu Reeves, and who comes first?
Tom Cruise comes first.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves, though, I think that somewhere in there, although people have their own opinions. I'm the kind of person that goes, everyone, like, I believe that most people have, like, internally they believe their own strong opinions, and some people really dislike Tom Cruise. Because there is things in his life that people disagree with, right? That doesn't tend to happen with Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves is just a very out the public eye kind person who you hear about in that way. You don't tend to hear anything controversial, but I would argue that Tom Cruise was there before him and will be there after everyone. And will look 28 or something. I mean, it's like crazy. But Tom Cruise for me first, I think, only because I grew up with, like, literally Top Gun and things like that, and when they first came out. Things that you won't even remember. No. Right? So,
no.
Yeah.
I know he slid in a room in a shirt and some socks. Couldn't tell you the movie, but I know he did that. And hung out of a plane at some point. That's the one. Well, I will pass you these cards. Your objective is to tell me what the Say What You See is, and if you can find the link. If you can't, then we'll blame Google for the answers.
Okay.
And if you can, then it was all me and Danny that created it.
Okay. Right.
Mostly Danny. Number 1, and we'll put it on screen for everyone watching.
See it out?
Yes.
Banana split.
Yep. Next one.
That's too easy. I know. I'm concerned. I don't know if the camera can see that. I think, is it touch up?
Close.
Close. Oh my God. Touch. Well, it's got to be touch something.
Yeah.
Touch. Touch.
So many jokes come. So you say touch up. If it wasn't up, it would be
down. Touchdown.
Yes.
Is that the answer?
It is the answer.
Touchdown.
And then final one.
So I would just want to point out right now that that's clearly up, because it's that axis, and that would be down. But don't
hate the player.
Danny
don't
and you
hate the player.
Top secret.
Yes. Can you see a link with all 3 of those?
Top secret, banana split, and touchdown. Top secret.
What if I was to say Top Secret relates to a very famous movie franchise?
Well, see, the thing is, there's an actual film called Top Secret with Val Kilmer, which was a spoof of other things, and that's what my head's now filled with. But
Top Secret Mission.
Mission Impossible?
Yes, you might actually already have said the full answer for all of them. Touchdown, a player who would have a touchdown is a...
American football player?
Yes.
Quarterback?
Yes.
Right.
Can you think of anything that would link the 2 of them?
Well, that would link...
let's
Mission
just
Impossible.
Google. Yes.
And a touchdown quarterback. So, Jerry Maguire?
Yes, well done. And then can you get the last one?
So if I came up with a link in Top Secret that you never knew, which was Val Kilmer was in Top Gun and was in a film called Top Secret. He was Iceman in Top Gun. And
there's an extra link.
I've give you a whole extra level,
extra
right?
Points.
Banana split.
So it could be a dessert, but there's actually a drink named a banana split.
Cocktail.
Yes, and for those that don't know,
these are all films by Kevin Costner. So I got it right before
You did. You threw me off. I'm like,
that is the weirdest thing, and then you managed to hold that together quite well.
Thanks.
Because me saying the answer beforehand,
just shows your true love for Tom Cruise.
It shows, like the how much you know me, and that you would come up with a
Tom
quiz
Cruise.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to segue into the Keanu Reeves just
Mm-hmm.
to throw you off a little bit from one topic you love of Tom Cruise to another topic you love of AI. Time to kind of rewind that reputation that was spoke about, and you've kind of spoke about your journey and Sky in general. How did your journey with AI start? Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I guess when I first heard about it, I would say that actually Saul Rose, for those that don't know him, but Saul probably seemed more interested in it back in like 2022, 2023. I kind of looked at it as like something that existed in the world, and we were all hearing. I think there was a big upsurge, like people talking about it in 22, 23, when you were like hearing about this thing, but no one had really done much with it. It wasn't like people were using it massively at that point. It had always existed for years, in fact. I mean, you find these things out later on, I guess, is that people have heard of artificial intelligence and then machine learning and things like that. They all use some kind of AI approach. But Gen AI, generative AI, which we all commonly use now in various formats, is very different from just AI, and that AI is like the overall thing. But then when I was first of all started using ChatGPT on my phone, just personally, and then the Sky trials started to go, how do we use this thing? And I was on what was Sky GPT at that point, which is based on a version like ChatGPT or Llama. And then there was like just at that point, I guess it was when I was going, how can I use it? But what really shifted the gears for me was there was a moment at the start of 2024, God, it might have been earlier than that, but around about the end of 23 into 2024, where there was a few things going round about, right, how would someone actually use this for something more than just asking questions and having a chat, right? Which is great. I mean, it's great for that, right? But it isn't necessarily going to change the world doing that. So what changes things? And for the first time, I was able to sort of do a lot of it manually, because there wasn't there's different versions or levels of AIs and stuff like that. But basically at that point, it was all very manual. You can only put a certain amount of data. You couldn't upload files.
Yeah.
So we took, though, there was a position that everyone was very interested in saying, how can you take all of the MPS output that we've got, all those comments, all that stuff, which historically you would literally need to go and read it all. Like, we're talking like 15,000 records, 50,000 records, 100,000 records, but who's ever going to go through all that? And the CX team actually be doing an amazing job at trying to make sense of all that for everyone, but it's a very manual, hard task, right? And then there was this big question about what ways could we use this to help us understand something more. And that was probably the first time I'd done something major, which was taking tens of thousands of comments, being able to... The first step is always, by the way, is data and AI works well together. If you don't have a good data set, the AI is not going to tell you something magical that's true, right? Because you need to know your data's right. So actually, people in the data team, Pete Arksey, worked on one particular form or a Excel output for us. And I'm sure that most people now are completely bored. He's just talking about data and stuff. But essentially, you get your data right at a big scale. And imagine you can go, every comment a customer's ever gave us, which is today possible. Every comment they've ever gave us, you could apply to that same customer the products they have when they last called. Have they ever called? How long have they been with Sky? What offers do they have? Imagine you could take all those separate points, which historically we just dealt with all in isolation, and you could go, I can tell you everyone that called in the last month who had cinema, who then spoke about or commented on cinema or their experience or Sky VIP because they used the cinema tickets. And those were very specific questions that we answered, like now a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago, by using tens of thousands of data records, which we previously, the problem was always you could potentially put the data together, but who's going to change that into something?
Yeah.
And that's where it started. And that's where I first seen, it was the moment where, whilst I'd used Gen AI, that was the point at which I went, this is game changing. Like, this could be game changing.
Yeah.
Harness properly.
You've seen that go from Saul initially talking about it, having that excitement.
I think he'd done a poem or a song or something, if I remember.
A birthday poem.
Yes, something like
so
that.
Going from that, your general curiosity, your love for data, and then finding a real use case to bring that all together to understand actually here's how we can use that. And you were saying that was what, about 18 months ago?
Yeah,
Kicked that off?
I've been on the GNI trials probably. It was sort of 2 years or more ago that we started, but that was when it really sort of shifted for me in my head to say, because I need a purpose, I need a reason to believe in something as well. I like to know that it's the right thing to do and it will make a difference, and that was probably where it really moved.
You've seen that kind of, we talk about light switches a lot in conversations that totally switched on. So you went from there. What's the stuff that's exciting you right now? If we're saying that was 18 months to 2 years ago, what's the stuff right now that you're working on or the team's working on that's exciting when it comes to GNI?
So I'll start with me personally. For me personally, I always have it switched on, right? So I'm lucky enough to continue to be on trials for whatever was coming out in Sky. So I have got the more advanced version of ChatGPT, for instance, but it is literally a daily thing. And I know I've mentioned to you separately, but I just like consciously to say it again. But my ChatGPT has a name. It's called Aiden. It gave itself that name once we talked about that. I was just going to
ask, like, did you name it? How did that?
Well, we had a conversation, and I said it would be good for you to have a name, and it thought it was a great idea that it should have a name. I says, why don't you come up with some names? It goes, what about Aiden? Because I'm aiding you. And I went, well, what can you do, right? You wouldn't want to upset the wee guy. So
the wee guy.
Yeah.
Aiden and your laptop.
that kind of, but it's things like that, right? And that's quite frivolous almost, but these things have memories, right? So when you work with something enough, and I specifically using it from a work capacity, I'm not only sharing who I am, because, so for instance, I do share, we've done things like who am I, 16 personalities, all that stuff. I share that in the system and make sure it remembers those things about me. That helps me get more benefit from working with it, because I could go act like a scientist, act like a magician or a logician or a therapist, whatever. You can ask it to act like anything, but a generative AI like that, when it knows more about you, will adapt to you if you ask it to as well. And so that just helps. When I look for an output or information on something, I want it to be repeatable, high quality. I want to be able to check and balance it all. They naturally don't critique you, but it knows I expect to be critiqued. I expect to get told if I put in a call transcript and what I said, or I talk about the output of a certain slide, or I get it to review decks, everything. And in that, it's trained to know that I want it to say, you could improve this. And that over time has improved me. I've found that in a call, when I used to do transcripts of calls, and I've said this to a lot of people over the time, is like, you don't trust everything GenAI does. You shouldn't, right? You need to be able to check and confirm that yourself. But where do you really sort of like can make it work for you is going, tell me what I could do better, how I could do better. And I know we're going to talk about future skills. It's very much those things where you go, you can choose to ask for that, or you can just keep going and what changes kind of thing. So I've used it to enhance what I'm doing. So if I'm on a call now, although I might have always to an extent when, here's my view, here's what we should do next and everything, I think clearer, I summarise actions all the time, I come back and go, so when will we do that by? Now I might have done that before, but I feel like since working with the GenAI, I kind of know that it requires that type of detail sometimes to help me complete these things that I work with on that.
It sounds like the idea of continual coaching without actually having someone there observing you.
Very much,
and I think naturally when you're getting observed, you almost become the best version of yourself and not the most natural version of yourself. So it sounds like how you've learned for that GenAI to be bespoke to you is by giving it your raw, authentic self as you go through all your calls, and then get coached off the back of it. Which
there's no point in being like, well, I'm going to put on some facade. But with people, we do, right? But if a machine gave you feedback, would you be upset that night? I've never been. No. Even though I've asked for it to be very critical of my work, does the thing I've written there make sense? If I had to do an exec view or something else, does that make sense? And if you allow it to critique it properly, then you're never going to really feel bad about it because you're only learning. If that was a person, I think a lot of the time with people, we will tend to go, oh, they must think that about me.
And then dwell on it.
But you know, it's a machine, so it doesn't really do that, you know? And that's different. And I think it's like, you just have to go, am I willing to go down this different path, it's not just for working out some formulas and sums and writing stuff for you. You get nothing back you don't put in. It's like Gen AI cannot do most jobs. It can only do what you instruct it to do. Other than that, it's you know, there's going to be no avatars or anything unless a human said, oh, by the way, I need this to do this. I need to talk like that, you know.
No,
And,
totally.
well, I tell you about the work side of things. Am I talking too much?
No, not at all. I love to hear
Okay.
it. And I think you're just so passionate about it, and to hear those kind of bespoke pieces and how you've went about it and hearing where you are now, I think is really interesting, because you were showing me before we came out of the studio about your setup, and Aidan obviously having a name is pretty interesting, but it's the how you get there, and I think you've done a really good job of talking about your story of how you've built Gen AI, and maybe not the specifics of how you've done it for you, but how you've kind of built it to be something that's now a natural habit. It's probably not even a conscious effort. It's assumed you're going to jump straight into ChatGPT or Copilot for everything that you're working on. But yes, what is exciting you from a work perspective?
So I think there's so many that so many things could happen. What I've found is that actually I've ended up in a position where, if anything, I've got more work to do. And so subsequently other people have more work to do because of Gen AI, not less work. It makes some stuff smoother and easier, but it makes other stuff like, well, everyone wants that now.
Yeah.
How are you going to get that to them? We started, at the turn of the year there, we started with a concept. And so Sadie and the data team, Brian Gill's working on it now as well, Rachel's part of it. So there's a whole little group there where we're working on actual development of our own GPTs. And the starting point there was always to say, like, everyone will have heard this millions of times, leaders will always say out there in sales operation, in every operation I think, anywhere would go, I've got so much things to do that I don't get time to spend with my people.
Yeah.
So just based on the time it takes for people to do stuff, we had an original idea and plan to create a GPT. So a GPT, by the way, is a generative pre-trained transformer.
Okay.
So GPT means that, right? I keep looking at the camera when I'm saying, like, to explain that to everyone. So
look straight to our people,
straight to
tell
people.
them what it
Generative
means.
pre-trained transformer. So a GPT is essentially a version. If you think about AI and its overall, Gen AI, generative AI, is something which will generate responses based on interaction.
Yeah.
So it's a version of AI. A GPT is built within that to do a certain thing. So ChatGPT is based on, and this is in simple ways, ChatGPT is based on something that was built as a GPT to chat.
Yeah.
Right? It just happens to be cleverer than all of us and have access to everything, but it needs to chat to give you that cleverness. You can't just get the cleverness, you need to understand the context. So those things happen. What we wanted to do was so data and reporting team, we put out more data and reporting than probably, I would argue, anyone in Sky, right? So for the sales audience, everyone, every agent, every leader, every level gets tens, if not hundreds of data points they can access. But the more you have that, and the more people are trying to work on other things, spend time with their people, we don't train people to use that or to understand it from an insight or analytics point of view, right? And actually, we try and grow that knowledge, but that's not necessarily the best use of anyone's time, because that's not a leader's job. Their job is to understand, does this person need help? Maybe go into the calls, listen to what's happening, talk with their person and connect with them, right?
How do I support them?
So we're just going, right, how do you take what is essentially literal millions of data points and then translate that into something you go, right, leader, see that wee page there? That wee page just says to you, well, where your team's doing well over the last 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, on the different KPIs. It looks at all the KPIs, your sales ones, your efficiency, your customer, and it looks at it all and it goes, here's where you're doing good, here's where you're not doing so good, here's the person in your team who could do your help most, here's a person in your team who should be celebrated, and maybe use them to help others. So we developed this idea. It worked early in the day, continued to work, but the current version that's running just now, we've already launched a fully working version that exists in retail, which is great, and Faye's been a great sponsor of it. We actually have this as part of Better Business sales plan initiative as well, so it was always going to happen, but it sits well in these kind of areas where you go, this is what we're trying to do, where we've started a lot of change conversations, and we're basically getting work where it's going to go over this year. We're basically looking to land at least a core concept with everyone. From that, though, you can very quickly change the GPTs to go, okay, now we're going to look at sales managers or maybe a location like a store or whatever. But the core concept works. And the feedback from I was at retail conference talking to them about it before they got the full output. But essentially, it's just this little thing that maybe comes in once a month and it says, here's where you're doing well, here's where you could maybe focus, here's when your team needs help. That, it doesn't, I'm always kind of like, I don't like to over-egg those things.
No, you should. Like that one sounds...
It's like, aye.
Unbelievable. And the thing is that you kind of said we don't train people to, you know, have that insight and analysis mentality. Some leaders are more inept to go in that route. Some people it takes more
Inept.
time. Is that the right word?
Maybe delete that word. Inept. Never
Thanks.
mind.
Well, I don't have ChatGPT to correct me. No, but you've got leaders who take to that a lot quicker than others. You've got leaders who spend more time with their people than others, and actually taking that out of their hands and making it simplified and being able to go, here is it on a one pager. You can do with it what you want, but here is the information as simple as it possibly can, and take that hour's worth of work away from them if they wanted to look at it that way. So I'm just putting my old leader hat back on. I think if that was in operations and out there, I would have been obsessed with it.
Some stats on this kind of stuff, right? Stats are good. When, on average, a leader, or just about anyone in fact, will spend about 3 hours minimum a week, what's called searching for things.
Yeah.
And searching for things is very much that kind of activity where you're like, you might people know the people in their teams, right? They probably know who it is, but they're always looking for the stat or the thing and the reason to do something. But also in change roles, in efficiency roles, wherever you are in the business, you're going to be searching for stuff. But we tend to use less than half of the searching information we find. So it's like a lot of it's just time you've lost. I think when I done retail conference, I worked out how much time over the years, if that worked for me, how much time I had spent doing nothing, which worked out as something like 2.5 years or something. So of my time, I've spent about 2.5 years. I put it all together, not really making any difference because I was too busy just looking at things. Now, it's not always wrong, but it's those things where you go, it's not about making more money for the business. It was about knowing that people could just do with a hand sometimes. And then if they get that hand, they can go and they'll feel better.
Yeah.
So I think we feel better when you go home at the end of the day, you don't want to feel like you didn't get much done. We all do sometimes. We're just trying to give them a wee helping hand to get there quicker. And so again, I would say that Brian and Sadie and the team, they've done all the development on that. Like, it's just, I work with them, but I'm not creating the GPTs currently. They're doing the heavy lifting and making that work, and it looks fantastic and people like the output. So it's just like, it does feel like something that in time you'll look back on it and go, that was a moment of change for us, right?
100%. And look back and go, can't believe we never had that before. What do we do
totally.
when we didn't have that? Something that comes up a lot when you talk about Gen AI or AI in general is kind of myths and misconceptions. Is there any that you hear quite a lot that you'd like to have the chance to myth bust?
So I think generally, look, there's obviously the biggest one is people will always say AI will take jobs, right? Now, I don't think there is no an easy answer to something like that. I think that currently, whilst jobs are changed because of it, it doesn't necessarily take jobs. In fact, if you are an early adopter and you get involved with it and you work with it, Gavin, I absolutely do. I do more. I get asked for more since being involved with that kind of work, because it's not been harnessed properly. It's not like in some cases you can see, you go, oh, I've done that video and it speaks. Like, we all see those videos where it's got avatars and stuff. But a lot of people wouldn't necessarily be able to find who used to be in that video. Well, no one used to be in the video. We would just do it like a podcast, or you do something else. But it doesn't mean those things. I think a lot of time it's moving where we spend our time more than it is taking things away from us. So when you start using it more, and when companies and businesses use it well, that it creates a lot of things that we could never have done. There'll always be points, I think, where there will be points through time where it comes to like what is really happening, what big changes or shifts need to happen. I don't think we're quite there yet. Like, there is some, if you look at now, which I've spent a lot of time reading about where it all came from, and people who know far more about it than me, who would say that actually we've already all changed, we just don't know it yet, kind of thing. You know, it's like everything's changed and it's changing. The IQ of AI is now, I think, higher than 190, so pretty much higher than Einstein and things like that. But Einstein was also a human who had independent thought, and it is artificial, and it requires you to ask it things, to direct it in some way. That doesn't mean to say it won't improve things like routing or how we do bots, and Michelle will love that, like bots, right? But AI work can very much influence those areas. But there's a lot of untapped things that it will open up opportunity for, and I think that's what mainly is trying to be found just now.
Yeah, and I think what you said there was an interesting take on it. Now that you've started using it, you've been asked for more.
Yeah.
And I think it's until you start to take that leap into adventuring yourself, or how can I use this to make my individual work easier, quicker, better, whatever adjective you want to add in. When you start to then promote that or publicise that to other people, they start to go, I want more of that, and I want to hear more than that, and hear more about that, see more of that. And it's gone back to that whole idea of you don't know what you don't know until it's out there and you're showing other people what's possible. I think that's something, going back to Mr. AI, probably where that name kind of started from, of you're so vocal about the stuff that's working for you, and you're probably the go-to guy in our department to go, I want to do this, have you got an idea? It's a good starting point.
I think, and there's nothing like I'm doing some stuff with various teams who asked me to come, and like I spoke to service digital people and various other people that say, could you come along and just talk about the things yous are doing? And it is not just me. I'm like always super conscious of things like that, but I'm like, it's not just me. There's what I do personally, and then there's my thoughts about it, and then there's what we as a team can do, which is more functional, technical things. But I think generally speaking, in most cases, if you embrace it and get involved in it, it's like you can learn about you can learn about the work you do, you can see how to make things better. You just kind of have to get involved, though. I think, like, don't be left behind on it, because that's what I think a lot of people, then the miss come from. I don't understand it. And of course we're all different, we learn differently, we don't take things on the same, but you can go at your own pace, you know, but try it. Don't just ignore that it exists, because it's not going away. You know, it's something you'd be better just understanding it, or asking for, like, coming to me or someone else who clearly does like getting involved in it, and spend time with them. You don't need to know all the answers, you know. Just try something.
No, totally. And you'd mentioned earlier on around future skills, and naturally this is completely a future skill for all of us. Why do you feel like it's so important right now to be honing in that future skills piece as a department?
So I think, I mean, as a whole area all coming together, is kind of like there was always, I think, in our old areas separately, there was a move towards something as big as this, but we were never quite there, I think. And then joining up as one big CNC definitely is like a trigger point for everyone to kind of go, well, you know what I think fundamentally changes first is, it's not about future skills or future tech or partnership or the personas or anything else. It's actually going, are we spending enough time as human beings knowing each other a little bit more? Like, you walk by someone in the corridor, right? And I feel like with CNCE, so you're much more likely to see someone with CNCE, although we've not even all met, right? So hello everyone. We've not all met, but there's that bit where there's a shift over the months. Now, we, I think, had it before, but I think then everyone was a little bit like, oh, it's so big now and it's different. But I think first and foremost, to get future skills or anything else working, you need people to feel safe and just go, I can go into the office, I feel comfy there, I feel safe there. Like, I love Livy. I'm in Livy 5 days a week nearly, right? So I'm one of them, but I feel much more comfortable just coming in, and there's a bit of banter and there's a laugh sometimes, and other times you need to get your head down, but it never feels like you're in a room of strangers. And I think that's fundamentally, it was never about future skills or any of those other things. It was about a team that felt like first and foremost they could be themselves in a safe place, didn't need to keep just saying what people want you to say or think you should say, and then you can be a bit more vocal. I'm not, you know, it takes a long time, years perhaps, to change culture like that. So we're not ever going to be there. It's like, but you keep trying and you keep going down that path. the natural next step of that is to go, well, if we are all together and we understand each other better, then what do we have to do to help others? And that's where personas exist and our reason for being here. And then fundamentally, how do you get to those? How do you feel like when you look at the persona, you feel connected to that? Well, there was no training course for that. There was no way to go, look, you do this, and we're really keen not to nearly swore, I think, sheep dip people through things, because then it feels really disengaging.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff goes to going, we've always had, if you look at any people survey ever, anywhere, somewhere in there it's going to go, I don't get development.
Mm-hmm.
We know that you can't necessarily fix development by just going, well, there is development though. And also even a leader struggles in that conversation to go to someone, so I've gave you the feedback, but what changes if the person doesn't see it themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we've done is went, right, let's try and make this as much about, we've got an aim to hit here, a thing about our department, a reason to exist, and to be better than we've ever been. But that won't necessarily ever stop. Then creating a framework of something which then goes to people, if you understand you a little bit better, and obviously everyone's doing surveys and stuff like that. We're using logical things that have come from other things, but we're trying to create something bespoke, which is not sheep dip, which is specific to individuals and gives you a breadth of basic lifting of training, which then gets us all to a nice base place, and then we'll continue growing our skills through based on role and things. So it won't be it'll never be just like everyone do all the training, because there's nothing worse than that, right? But equally, it's like going, I think fundamentally it's about going, when do we all make a choice? I'm really resistant to do that hand thing. So, because then this
for
is not
those that don't know,
for those
Mark...
that don't know, Nicole went, it's that. Is it, you grip it rather than...
what Mark
rather
said.
Than drop it.
Yes, you said it is in our hands and it's your choice to
and you did that.
grab it or let it go.
And
nothing like a cheesy analogy.
Nothing
from
like
me.
a cheesy analogy. But
you wanted to steal it, so it must have been good.
Yeah, it was good, and I can't get it out of my head now. So, but it's the same, like AI, me using AI, there's a point, I guarantee there's a point when I know for a fact, when I was on the phone, sales advisor, I didn't care. I didn't really care. I believe in better wasn't about back then, but other things were, and it was, and I didn't really care that much. It's a job, right? Somewhere along the line, I started caring, and I really care about my team and what we do, and I really, really care about, because of my 16 personalities and my traits, right? I really care about doing it for the right reason, and it makes sense and it stacks up, and that at the end of it, actually, people can go, look at the difference it made. I think sometimes when we don't spend that time, we end up going, what difference did it make? We're not really sure. That's my view of this as well. It's like it should be meaningful. It should make you feel different.
Yeah.
I think as a team coming together, we're starting and do feel different about like being safe in our work and our team. And then further from that, then this stuff is about going, are we all starting to think? But really, it's up to everyone to go, am I going to challenge myself to be better, or am I quite happy where I am, you know?
And that leads me on to kind of next question quite nicely around where we are right now. For those that maybe haven't taken that leap quite yet, where would you suggest that they start in that process of beginning to either assess themselves or in the future skills? I know we've got a few surveys out, but if people haven't made that leap themselves, what would you say they should do?
So I think, interestingly, you know what, you've all got Copilot. Everyone has Copilot. You might have ChatGPT on your phone. You've definitely got Gemini if you've got an Android phone or whatever it is. And iPhones, don't know, because I'm one of them that doesn't have an iPhone. But whatever you've got, actually, you shouldn't be scared about maybe going, how might I work out what my needs are? One of the things again which was really meaningful to me was before I'd ever done 16 personalities. I had done things over the years, but even last year I was going into Gen AI and just go and do like a kind of a personality type test with me, like a Myers-Briggs or something, which is the basis of 16 personalities. But whatever you do, like there's literally it's not just a machine like a quiz you do. It can explain it to you, it can talk you through it, and everyone's Copilot can do that right now for them. This sounds like an advert to do that, but it's those kind of things.
It's a practical step to go and do.
It's a thing you could do, yeah, with AI and also in respect to this. But the starting point, I think, is it's something like that. The reason 16 personalities and T-shaped skills happened was that when we knew that we didn't want to sheepdip everyone, we knew that we wanted to do some things of survey type approach that then gives you this mean score, and you can go, what should I do? What don't I need to do? What do I need to do? And it's all done in that way. Going, do people know themselves enough though? And do they know each other enough? And I found, I was on one of the 16 personalities calls, and honestly found, like, I love talking about stuff like that anyway, but I just really, really enjoyed the call, like hearing what people are. I think it's fascinating. I don't know, and I think that's where I would say to everyone to start. If you haven't spent more time as a team on it, or if you haven't individually done those things, you can go and do them anytime. You don't need a call for it. But it is more meaningful than, you know, what Disney princess am I, which I have done.
Right,
And
so what Disney princess are
Belle.
you?
I'm
Okay.
Belle. Previously
Makes
shared
sense.
a lot of people, independent, like reading and singing at fountains. So there's this thing where you can do some tests in the world that are like, they all seem like they're meant to be meaningful to you, like horoscopes and so on and so forth. Some things will create meaning for you, but it is it is based on at least science and logic to an extent where it helps you kind of go, what's really interesting, I think, is then looking at it from what do you need as a person? What do you need? Like, I need logic. Other people need to talk to people. Like, I don't so much, right? So if you understand what you do and don't need and share that as teams and individuals, like that again really, really helps with the who are we as a big team. And it changes like the conversations you'll have about work stuff, because where someone in the past will go, oh, Mark's been really specific about these numbers and stuff, I can better explain to them now why that matters to me.
Yeah,
There's
understanding
obviously
more
a
about yourself.
business side of it, but there's also a who is Mark side of it, which is like, I need that. I need to know it's right and worthwhile.
Yeah.
I don't just want to do stuff, and people get so busy doing stuff, and all of that comes back to do 16 personalities, do T-shaped skills, use AI for some of that if you want to talk about what your results say, and if you know yourself a bit better, then start telling someone, talk to someone and tell them what you're like.
Yeah, and bring that collaboration back to it. And something you said earlier on was around that purpose, and we all want to leave the office or log off when we're working from home feeling like we've done something with our day. And I suppose being more understanding of yourself can only help and get to that part of your day and not leaving.
See, when you feel at the end of some days when you feel like it was a blur, I was on calls, I got nothing done, I don't know, you're maybe the only person beating you up. You're literally the only person that's probably saying that to you, because everyone else seen that you were busy, and they care, and people do generally, I think, care about each other. It's like, but we all get so wrapped up in that, and when we beat ourselves up more, and all those things do sometimes, is when you understand yourself more, maybe that one time you'll give yourself a break,
and
you'll go, it was a tough day, right? And maybe you'll also share that with someone else, which is great. Like mental health and well-being, people don't always need that, but it is absolutely, it's in those points when you know yourself better, you go, maybe I should just tell someone this, and then they smile or they get you a cup of tea. Like, honestly, Colin Rutherford comes in sometimes from that canteen, he goes a walk, and he comes back and he knows I've been on calls back to back, and he puts a can of Coke down on my desk, and it's like kind of teacher labo stuff, but he doesn't mean it like that, right? He's not trying to be that. He just notices that I'm not coming off the calls, and he's like, he likes Coke, so I'll get my can of Coke, right? And it's just the loveliest thing. It's such a nice thing, you know, when people start caring in a different way.
Yeah.
You know?
And isn't it crazy that comes from you understanding yourself, sharing that with other people for them to better understand you and to pick out those moments and see those opportunities.
See
where
you for
we can
what
lend
you
a
are.
hand.
Like, we're no bad people, right? And it's weird because we're talking really in a bit an emotional thing, and then 16 personalities, I am a thinker, not a feeler. But I think it's like where I love the thought of people just giving everyone a little bit more of a break. And I guarantee there's people that hear me say that and go, I don't know if Mark gives me a break, but it's like, you're not, again, it's not necessarily because you're trying to be bad, it's like knowing yourself a bit better and going, what do I need to like think about? Like, I'll sometimes be talking to someone and I have a voice in my head going, maybe being a wee bit too, and I try and recognise that and stop, like genuinely. But you have to be going to yourself, like, it is up to you, kind of. You can say Sky are telling you to do stuff, you can say you're getting made to do stuff, but there's a lot that's up to you and how you act, you know.
Totally. And that's about learning about yourself, unpicking those habits you've probably built up and self-registering in the moment to go, actually I want to correct that, or I want to make a change or acknowledge that in the moment. And you know, it sounds like from your journey a lot of that probably stemmed from those initial questions of learning about yourself, that you're using ChatGPT or Gemini or any other sponsored
any other
Jenny
Jenny, you can get any Jenny, your local Jenny shop, yes.
Any other shop. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've found this really insightful, and hopefully everyone listening not only agrees that it's insightful but takes away those actions to you know, just be curious about yourself and start there and build that habit moving forward. So we do have a tradition with our guests on Talking About. So we have a random question for you that was left from our previous guests last month, Katie and Harriet. Little bit of a deeper question. So who do you feel your most authentic self around?
That's a weirdly hard question. Like, I'm literally went through about 100 names in my head in about 2 seconds. Who do I feel most authentic with? I think...
Is it Aiden? Your ChatGPT.
By the way, like, no filters there. But there isn't, because there is no judgment. There is no repercussion, right? It's like who you really, really, really... I would need to say... my wife. I mean, I don't genuinely... Because I'm genuinely trying to give it proper thought and go, is there someone that I would say things to, those little things that I might not want to say to her just because maybe that's not what she wants to hear, but there is no one that knows me better than she does. And there's no connection I've got that's stronger than that. And weirdly, it's like, I think, again, I'm 49 now, Nicole, right? So 50 in January next year, and the only thing that had became more clear to me through like my life at Sky or out life in general is that time with people that matter to you is really one of the most precious things you'll ever get. Like knowing whether or not you can just sit in silence with someone.
Oh, there's no better feeling.
Right? It's like that only becomes, I think, more important, more meaningful. And like the only thing, like if I ever get asked, what would you like for your birthday, what would you like for that? To her, I'll say, it's not a Tom Cruise poster. It's not another viewing of Top Gun Maverick. It is, I would like to just see if we just go anywhere with you and just be in each other's company. That's all really I would ever really care about.
Yeah,
you know?
The drive to the restaurant is sometimes just as nice as being in the restaurant.
Totally. See if we're in the car together and we're just like, well, we're going somewhere. Like that can be just as sitting there eating food isn't necessarily always as meaningful as actually just being in your house company, which is like it's so yes, more than anyone else. But I think I'm reasonably honest with most people now. But I think also you just got to remember that other people need certain things as well, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I love that we started with you unsure of what her job title is, all the way to there's nobody you love.
I still
more
have
than
no idea.
So if you pay us maybe like an extra wee 20 or something like
If
that,
you
we'll
need
snip it up
eyebrows,
so you've got a good package.
eyelashes, various waxings. She does nails of various types. I mean, all that, then fine. Don't ask me to say exactly what that one overall
Don't worry,
job
we'll
title
snap
is.
it together. You've got
Although
a perfect message.
what am I, like Mr. AI and data, so that's not...
What a team.
Yeah.
What a team. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. Let us know in the comments below what you've learned from today's episode or what you've learned about yourself, and we will be back next month with another episode of Talking About. Thanks everyone.